as we know, Tesla has taken some hits financially and physically over the last few months due to Elon's involvement in President Trump's administration, and we do know that has caused some negative impact on his business. Now, Elon Musk also has made the statement that soon, and we'll get the exact quotes, but soon he will be taking a bit of a backseat role in DOGE, making way for new people to take over as he will spend more time focused on his private business as well. But this is pretty big because a lot of people have been pushing this, and there's obviously going to be a lot of talk of whether this was always the plan. He always talked about he wasn't going to be there for very long, but I think the idea was first he would be there for a year, maybe 2 years. But now we're talking about only a few months as DOGE has really shaken a lot of things up.
Well, and to some degree, this is necessary under law because he is a special government employee. So that is statutory law. He has only a certain amount of time under this category that he is able to be an employee of the government per calendar year. And that's 130 days that he can work for the government while keeping this special status. And really that, because he didn't have to divest of his businesses and things that have contracts with the government, this category is created so that someone can come and do work for the government, but doesn't have to just completely end their entire business career outside. But it's also per calendar year. So next year, he can be a special government employee for a 365-day period and get a new 130 days. So he's obviously, we're not at 100 days of the presidency yet. That comes up in next week on April 30th. But he's exhausted much of this time. And really what he's saying is twofold. One, Tesla, they announced that their net earnings were down 71% in the quarter.
And that is directly correlated, by the way. That means to not only the tariff situation, not only a lot of things happening, but really what that has to do with is that a lot of people, I believe, my theory is a lot of people who even would support Elon Musk, that would buy a Tesla typically, are now nervous. They don't want their cars destroyed. They don't want their family put in danger. So how do you combat that? It's going to be tough from a business point of view. And look, I was at a drive-through this morning with my kids getting breakfast, and the car in front of us was a Tesla, and they had a sticker on the back of their car that said, "I bought this before Elon went crazy." And my children, specifically my son, who is kind of a tech kid, he loves Elon, doesn't really know anything about the controversial side of him, only knows him from what they've learned in school, which is this is the guy from SpaceX, this is the guy from Tesla, this is the guy who's changing the world with a lot of the technology he's doing. And he saw that, and he also knows about some of his struggles. And he saw that and he goes, "That's really mean." And he's almost 13 years old. He goes, "Also, Elon has autism, so you're labeling somebody crazy, and we know this is what's happening right now, and that's a big topic of conversation." He is someone who has said he has this issue. And then, then my daughter chimed in behind me and go, "Yeah, who else is sending people up to get the lost astronauts who have been stranded? Only Elon." And she even said, sometimes it's good to have some people who are a little crazy. And I think that that's true because you have to have big dreamers. You have to have people who can invent and invest and actually spend the money and time to come up with these ideas. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And I think we've seen success with the concept of DOGE. Now it's a question of, can they keep it going?
He was telling the shareholders of Tesla on this call that had just received news of 71% decline in net revenue over the quarter. But this is kind of what laid the pathway. And now we knew that as a special government employee, it wouldn't be something he could do for a full-time job forever because of any 365-day period, you can only work 130 days to have this status, to not have to divest of things and to make sure that all the ethics rules are carried out, which regard to if you're a full-time government employee, there are much. So this is him framing where he started and kind of what the future looks like. And there's actually an interesting nugget in here about looking forward as we play this. This is Bite 4 from Elon Musk.
Probably in next month, in May, my time allocation to DOGE will drop significantly. I'll have to continue doing it for, I think, probably the remainder of the president's term, just to make sure that the waste and fraud that we stop does not come roaring back. I'll be allocating far more of my time to Tesla and now that the major work of establishing the Department of Government Efficiency is done.
The major work of establishing
building
the Department of Government Efficiency is done, meaning they have the infrastructure now.
They got a team.
They have the team in place. We saw that team in that incredible interview with Brett Baer, which kind of completely destroyed the narrative from the media that these are just 20-somethings with laptops and no experience running around breaking our government, as the media like to show off and say that was happening.
But they said that like it's a bad thing. Okay?
Right.
I like the idea of having a bunch of 20-somethings with laptops actually going in there getting work done. I don't know. They're passionate. They care about it. They actually want to do this kind of work. Unlike most government employees that get in there and do that. Obviously, that narrative was not accurate, but that narrative never scared me.
Right.
The narrative that it's young people in tech should not scare you, by the way, because that is who understands what's going on in tech. I have a 13-year-old son who has surely surpassed my knowledge of what's happening in tech, because that's what happens. Okay, it's a moment when you get slapped in the face with it by your own child, when you realize, oh wow, I'm the grown-up here who now has not focused on what the growing and changing technology is. It's like the people who talk about AI. You know, they are so scared of it that they're not utilizing it as a tool in their tool belt, and they're going to get left behind. And I really believe that. As much as I understand some of the ethical questions that come into play, everyone's using it as a tool in their toolbox. And if you're not, and if you're just saying, I'm not because I'm a human, I don't deal with this anymore, well, it'd be like saying you're not using a smartphone. It's like saying that you won't have email on your phone or anything like that. If you're in the tech space, it's ridiculous. Now, that being said, that isn't what was happening with DOGE. You had very smart people who were very well experienced in there, including, by the way, the richest man in the world, who has created some of the best technology that all of us use on a daily basis. But no, that guy we have to now portray as some sort of, crazy loony character. So much so that it does look like, and look, I do wish the Trump administration had said this a little bit early on. He's a special position. He can only be here for a handful of months. I know it was talked about, but it wasn't, though, top line.
They said he's special government employee. That's only 130 days. They even talked about him just kind of ending at the end of this period, but the media didn't. The media actually crafted this narrative that this was an oligarch. You see AOC and you see Bernie Sanders, though, running around saying, stop the oligarchy, as though he had completely commandeered the government and he owned the United States at this point. And it was always a special government employee position. Yeah. DOGE itself may not go away because it is now within, they actually were very clever. They used a department that was established under the Obamacare law that created this efficiency network, and they just expanded the mission and goal of it. So it can remain, and these people that are in these positions that can continue the leadership have a vision within the very specific departments. They are very well accomplished, many of them executives in their own right. So even without Elon there working 7 days a week like he has been, him being there and being able to come in a couple times a week, if he reserves a chunk of this year, a few times a week, check in, make sure that, his guidance in there, or if they have questions, still exist, that's great. Yeah. But it also, we kind of thought that it was just this first runway here. Yeah. Now he's telling even the investors at Tesla that he is going to remain probably through the presidency using that special government capacity to be able to help make sure everything is going within the vision of President Trump.